Hello, good friends. Welcome to another exciting edition of the In Our Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Ruiz. You can call me Adrian. I'm the executive director of the Youth Development Network and a proud host of this thing that was a total accident. And here we are, still going strong. With me today, I have a really neat guest. We're going to talk about some things that, quite honestly, I think I need. So there's a little bit of a selfish podcast here, if you will, because I think I need some direction and I think I just need to talk about some things. And in order for this conversation to happen, I want to introduce you to Christina Andrade-Lemus. She is the Director of Substance Use and Latinx Services for CommuniCare. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Right on. If you've seen this podcast ever, you know that we are music nerds and we just love talking about music. And I'm curious, what are you listening to these days?
Well, I'm going to disappoint you
Uh-oh.
because I love music and I do listen to a lot of random things, all types of genres, but honestly, I'm a news junkie
Yeah,
and I listen to NPR all the time. It's on my radio all the time.
very nice. Very nice. No, that's not a disappointment at all. Because NPR is super cool. Like they cover some really neat things.
Yeah, yeah. And news is a little hard right now too, but I just have this like desire to be informed.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I've known about CommuniCare for a while,
hmm
and I'm really curious to learn what are some of the services that your department in particular focuses on.
Okay, so first I'm just going to say we had a recent merger. It's been over a year now, but we're now CommuniCare Olay. So
CommuniCare Olay.
yeah, so we're a federally qualified health center, and we are in Yolo County, Napa County, and Solano County. So we're in 3 counties now with the merger.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're a private nonprofit. We offer primary care services, so medical, dental, and then we have a behavioral health department that I'm a part of. And in that department, we have a ton of services, therapy services, substance use treatment services. We do a lot of work with diversion programs. We serve youth,
Mm.
clinical services for youth. We have case management services for the community, lots and lots of things. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we do.
What are the top three things that your department is really seeing a lot of right now?
Well, one of the things that I oversee specifically, and we've seen lots of increase, is substance use treatment.
Mm.
Yeah, so we do outpatient treatment, and there's lots of people that are just kind of struggling, and maybe trying to feel better.
Yeah.
And so we certainly have an increase there.
Hmm.
I think there's always a need or desire for people to feel better and to, and maybe come in and just get some therapy,
Yeah.
which we do provide. And, it's kind of hard times right now. Like
Yes.
people are struggling with their mental wellness
Yeah.
and with substance use, whether it's alcohol or other substances, So
Yeah.
I would say those are probably the areas that are increasing the most.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is there a particular age range that you're seeing more often right now?
Depends. It probably depends on the program
Mm. Mm-hmm.
specifically. I know in substance use services, uh, our age range is probably around 29 to 46 is the age that we see the most. Um,
Okay.
our youth programs, we don't have a lot, and I think that's a little bit of a disappointment sometimes because we know that there are young people out there
Yeah.
that need the support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about that in a little bit because on the Youth Development Network side of things, we're seeing some things that are alarming.
Yeah.
Some numbers that have been shared with us that supposedly we have never seen before in the last 3 or 4 decades. So I definitely want to work my way towards that. I want to talk a little bit about. So Christina is a proud member of the Creciente program, and she brings her expertise to the program often. And and just shares with us what this looks like from a Latino, Latinx point of view, Latine point of view. And when you think about, let me just ask it this way. Um, why do you think Latinos are hesitant to reach out for professional help?
Well, I think there's a lot of stigma around mental health services or what mental health actually is. Even for some, there's just maybe a lack of understanding. It's not talked about at home.
Yeah.
It's not a conversation that we have at the table, right? It's kind of something that's left to just kind of be quiet about.
Mm-hmm.
And, we oftentimes, I think, suffer in silence a bit. So I think that is one area that, we can do better, right? Is um, not really understanding it very well. And I would say that's across the board for most communities, but in our community specifically, it is definitely something that I think keeps us from coming in. If when people do come in to receive service, the first place they usually go is to a medical provider. So a
Mm.
doctor. Doctors are trusted. Doctors are really trusted, and
Yeah.
so that's where it might start, which is an okay place to start.
Mm-hmm.
But a mental health a mental health service, not necessarily. When we were first providing services in one of my programs for our folks without citizenship status, they would come into they would not want to come into our behavioral health entrance. We had a special
Whoa.
lobby for behavioral health. They would want to come in through the primary care medical services side, because they were worried about people seeing them coming into that through that door into that
Whoa.
lobby. So that was we had to build a lot of trust. We had to build a lot of trust with people so that they felt comfortable enough to come through those doors.
Yeah.
So I think trust is extremely important in our
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
and I think there's lots of misinformation too. So we have to work at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It, I'm listening to you, and I kind of feel like a total hypocrite because there's a part of me that wants to say, "Wow, that's so wild. It's 2026." Yet, like in my household, in my family, there's a lot of what you just said. So my wife is awesome, and I'm not picking on her in any shape, way, or form. But this weekend, I was like, I'm not all right. I need to like tap out for a little bit. I need to just be here. I don't want to be around people. I just want to be here. This was her. Oh no! Come on, get ready. Da-da-da. We gotta go out there. We gotta do something. You gotta shake that off. We're not about that here. And I'm like, and I'm like literally on E, right? I'm like, okay. I'm like, and then we talked about it afterwards, and
Yeah.
and she was so like, wow, I'm so sorry, Adrian. She goes, one, I'm just not used to you saying those things, and
Mm-hmm.
two, that was my way of making you like get all happy again. And it wasn't until later where she was like, "You're not okay, huh?" I got,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm dealing with something and I'm trying to figure it out." And but I think about it, right? I think about like all the stuff that happens in the house, and then could you imagine saying like, "I'm gonna go see help,"
Yeah.
and it's like,
Right. Like taking that time. I mean,
yeah,
I think we all feel we're always feeling really pressed
yeah,
to get things done and to do things, to strive, to work hard. We're also very resilient people,
yeah,
very resilient. And I think some of that also lends itself to us feeling like we just have to keep on, like we just keep on going. We get right back up
yep,
and we get on it,
yep,
and that's part of what we've been taught and what we've learned about ourselves,
yep,
and there's a lot of beauty in that resilience. And I think, giving ourselves the space to just pull back a little bit
yep.
can be super hard to do.
Super hard.
Hmm.
It's almost like you're not supposed to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you feel guilty about it.
Yeah. I have a friend, and I call him friend, who's been just going through stuff. Like literally, this dude's been selling property in another country because of the situation there. He's been just literally getting on a plane, getting back here, doing work, doing stuff. moving things around, and we do a lot at and the stuff that we work on, and he is like, to me, like the poster child of resiliency. But I know that like he could benefit from just like doing it, and thank God for him, like he just knows and he goes and gets the help that he needs. But it's super just like you could see it, like, it's like that go mentality. Like they
Mm-hmm.
go 1000% for everything. Yeah, I think about that often.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that totally has haunted me. You said something that, I mean, you were with one of our cohorts at Creciente,
Mm-hmm.
and you said, I need you all to know that so much of what we experience and how we experience it is because of the connection between our trauma and our well-being and colonialism.
Mm.
And can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think what you shared was so telling and so real. Like, I literally saw the room just lean in when you were sharing that because we were like, we've never heard that before, but we so know it to be true.
Right. Um, I think that's why it's such an important conversation to have, because it releases us from some of that guilt that we experience, um, because it's not our fault. I really feel that way. And I am a social worker. That's my profession. I learned things a certain way. I learned how to provide services to people a certain way. And I've been doing it for 28 years. And after doing it for a while and starting this program that was designed specifically for people without citizenship status, Spanish speaking population, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I knew we couldn't do things the way that we normally do. And there was this idea of like providing culturally relevant services. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I support that 100%. And so we were designing things that way. And then I started to realize that the things that I knew that were like the foundation of my profession
yeah.
were things that didn't include the history.
Yep.
They didn't include what had happened through colonization. They didn't include the things that were lost, or the things that haven't, the things that we just haven't really held on to, or that maybe sometimes we feel embarrassed about or ashamed about because we're like, oh no, we're supposed to be doing it this way.
Mm.
And so I had to start unlearning what I knew, which I think was a kind of an interesting thing to experience. And
How many years were you in your career when this unlearning started happening?
most of my career, I mean, really,
Wow.
I would say that this started to be something like as I started to like see
Mm.
information about it.
Mm-hmm.
I found this amazing book, Decolonizing Therapy, and I was like, what? There's
Mm.
something that exists that describes this, and it helps us to understand it better. And that was probably about, I don't know when the book came out, but before that, I was already thinking about it. So probably about 8 years or so ago, started kind of trying to figure it out. And I think I had to dig in a little bit to understand and to have other people give me some understanding of what I was experiencing, what was not making sense to me
Right.
in the moment.
Right.
But then when I started to put the pieces together, I was like, it is like that. It's like this moment where you're like, yes, like this is something that we really have to contend with. This is one
Mm.
of the reasons why some of us are not doing very well. This is a direct connection to our own mental wellness, our well-being.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
understanding colonization and the the things that were lost as a result of that, or the things that we no longer felt like were okay to practice, took away those the way that we cared for ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
So
Mm.
I can go on and on. So
No, I'm fascinated by it. I think I shared with you that when I was a kid in Miami, I had an earache. And my I had two friends over, and I remember coming home and I'm like, abuelita, abuelita, me duele el oído. And she's like, okay. And she grabs the Miami Herald.
The
And
cone.
she made a cone. She leaves me on the
Yeah.
couch. And both of my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mauricio was like, we do this all the time in Bogota. Like, right? And
Yeah.
Scott was like, what is going on, right? And sure enough, she lights the funnel, and I'm just doing. It gets closer. The fire gets closer to my ear, and then you hear these three pops, pop, 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 and the air
Yeah.
just released out, and I felt better like instantly. And Scott was tripping out. He was like, "What is that? We don't do that. Like, what just happened?" Uh, and I think about that. It was like this very like to us what was normal.
Mm-hmm.
To Scott was like, I had never seen that in my life, and he was really tripped out by it. It's little things like that, though,
Yeah.
right? It's things like that that I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah.
But what are some other ways that colonialism and our traumas clash, and where we just need to like do the work to figure it out?
Well, I think capitalism is probably one of those things too, right? Where maybe just kind of the exploitation of resources and things like that. I mean,
Mm,
capitalism, I think, does not support a sense of community.
yeah.
It's a little more competitive.
Hmm.
There's this kind of idea of like independence and kind of needing to do things on your own. Um, and we aren't those people.
Yeah.
We are all about our community. We have a sense of community, and it's extremely important to us. And I think extremely important to our well-being. We have to have connection somewhere.
Yes.
And I think that would be an example, that kind of idea of like competition. You know, I mean, certainly we all want to do, we want to uh, professionally advance and things like that. Of course, I'm not saying that we don't,
Mm-hmm.
but there's some ways in which I think that pulls us away from the the ways that we have survived, the ways that we've been able to be well. Um,
Yeah.
I love what when you mentioned the cone thing. My dad did that for me many years ago, and I always remembered it too because it's like a whoa, I felt better like
Yeah.
immediately, right?
Yeah.
And we have lots of things like that are still being done, and I don't know if we're always believing that they're working.
Mm.
I don't know if we are losing that a little bit, like but it happens. I mean, our grandmothers give us a little té, like we use hierbas to
Yeah.
to just make I don't know, bring them on, just kind of brush ourselves off with them, a
Yeah.
limpia.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know people that go to curanderas,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're not feeling well,
Yeah.
their grandmother takes care of them, their mom takes care of them. I mean, we do those things, and they are still very important. Um, and those are just like remnants. They're what's left.
Right.
So I always try to encourage that, because we know, we know, and I don't want us to lose those things.
Absolutely. So you're in this really interesting, you find yourself in this really interesting position of uh, being educated a certain way, being taught that this is the right clinical way of doing things, and then this history that you have,
Yeah.
this other thing that says, wait, there's another way of doing this that could be more inviting to people that we're not giving care to. What has been your role in just acclimating the field
Mm.
to thinking differently? Or how is the field trying to think differently?
Well, I think for me, it's been just really introducing the idea of it and validating, like, we know these things. We know these things.
Yeah.
We've practiced these things, they're in our memory,
Yes.
they're in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And so just trying to bring them back up and provide some relevance to them, to like legitimize, I guess. I don't,
Totally.
just say like, remember when? Um, so I think I have done that with the team that we've had to provide these services. I've just brought it up. I've talked about spiritual practices. We don't we don't do that a lot in the field.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people get a little bit nervous about talking about spirituality,
Mm.
but what I have tried to include or incorporate is to look at both of them, because all of those things are very important, and our connection to who we are and what we're grounded in is very
Yeah.
important. And the things that we carry from our history, from our people, and then sometimes you might need some medications,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Both have validity,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important to bring them both together,
Yes.
because we can't just rely on a European-centered way of doing things.
Right. Right.
And I do try to be really careful about how we diagnose people, and just how we talk about mental health symptoms and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. There's also language, and that's important too, for people to understand.
Totally.
So yeah, we just kind of talk about it. I mean, honestly, we
Yeah.
bring it up. We make sure that when we're bringing someone in and enrolling them into a service,
Mm-hmm.
that we ask them questions about their culture,
Yeah.
their ways, what things have they done that they know that were maybe passed down, or
How recent is that practice of being curious and entering into inquiry about culture and practices?
very new.
Very new.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we're in we're in a bit of a sad time right now, because we had this, like, I feel like kind of COVID happened, and
Okay.
then during that time, there was, in behavioral health anyway, there was this real focus
So
on,
true.
yeah, on like cultural relevance, and
Mm-hmm.
like approaching people in and taking those things into consideration, and having people who may not be people of color understanding more and learning more. And I know in our organization we were doing such great work around that. We've been doing great work around that. We continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we get into a new administration, and it's bad to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is part of the remnants of colonization. That's part of what, that's what that is. It's like, oh, no, no, no.
Truth.
Wait,
Yep.
you're learning a little bit too much. You're getting a little bit too comfortable. We need to stop that.
Yep. Mm. It is a sad time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you all been able to still practice that curiosity and still apply what people share with you?
We do. I think many places probably have learned to covertly do it, change some of the language.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of what you have to do,
Yeah.
because we also have to still pay the bills.
Yeah.
If we're not paying the bills, we don't provide the service.
Right.
And how do we do that without compromising what is really important,
Right.
and the work that we've already put in? That that falls really like a high priority. And here we are, kind of going underground or whatever, sort of, so to speak, right? Like to do it. And I don't know, some places have not done that. Some places said, okay, we'll let our diversity, equity, inclusion services go. We're
I've
not going
seen
to
that.
focus on that anymore.
Yeah. I've seen whole departments just disappear.
Yep.
And it's like, wait, you were just talking 2 years ago about how this is the most important thing to you. And
Exactly.
it's
It was
like,
like, we really got to see the true colors of,
we did.
some organizations, corporations.
Yep. Yep. And some, I'll just say this, surprised me. I expected more.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
there's another interesting phenomenon that's happening right now. I was shown some data from this region, and it had to do with suicidal ideation and attempted suicide in the male population from like ages 14, I think, through close, a little over 21, I think is what I was looking at. And and Christina was like a hockey puck. They were showing to like right up to 2014, this thing was like this. And then like right around 2014, 2015, they just started seeing this. And
Mm.
it's like a not a hockey puck, a hockey stick, sorry. It's just like so what's happening is like it's through the roof right now
Mm-hmm.
in terms of young people dealing with sadness and depression and thoughts of suicide. Um, what do you attribute this to, and what are some of the things that young men can do to take better care of themselves right now? Especially, seeing that the state is doing that thing, skyrocketing.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll start off by just saying that I think Latinas right now are having we're doing really well. We're doing really well, and that's great, right? Feel really good about that. But our young men, there is concern about that of
Yeah.
them, just not doing well emotionally. I mean, I think there's probably lots of things happening. One is probably how young men are socialized, right? For me, I always go back to for our young men, uh, ideas of identity, who you are, feeling proud of who you are,
Mm,
being grounded in that identity. Uh, and like, I think that raises up solid young people.
yeah.
And I say that through some of my own experience with our daughter. I think um, having a spiritual focus, knowing who you are,
Mm,
knowing your history, that whole conversation we're having about like colonization, right? And what it
yeah.
tries to take from us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have to replace that because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it leaves like an emptiness or a void um,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
doesn't leave us on solid footing. It that's kind of how I imagine it, right? That we're just like unstable
Yeah.
because we don't have this like grounded space that we're in. Maybe we don't have that sense of community, or maybe we haven't felt safe enough to talk about things.
Yeah.
It's always easy to say like, oh, social media and all of these things are, having impact on young people. And sure, it's a different time than when I was
Sure.
young, and I'm sure there's some impacts there. But I don't want to blame it on that either. I think there's other things that we should be thinking about
Mm,
too,
mm.
as to why our young people struggle, and our young men especially. I was having a conversation this weekend at a dance ceremony that I was in. A young man who is working with youth who struggle, his focus really is to keep them out of incarceration. I was
Wow.
just kind of checking in with him because he's working in Yolo County, and I said, hey, how are things going? And he said, oh, we're really struggling. He said what we're struggling with is our young men who do not have an interest or want to go to college, or not taking that route.
Mm,
He said, we're struggling with trying to find a place for them, a job or a training or something, so that they don't go out to the streets. Or he said they had just lost two young men to incarceration, and he
oh
feels
no.
like there's just this gap right there
Yep.
for them. They finish school, and then what
No,
happens
no.
after,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. When you think about the importance of you touched about this young man, and it made me think of something. It made me think about how important are male role models in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People that can say, "Hey, I've been through it. I'm here for you. I got you."
Mm-hmm.
um, how important is that right now, and how do we get more of them?
Oh, I think I think it's really important. I mean, my husband and I have this conversation all the time, because I would consider him to be one of those people, right? A mentor to
He
people.
is. Yeah.
And in our community, we have our dance community, our Aztec dance community, and he is that. And it's also a lot of pressure.
Right.
it's a lot, it's a lot to carry. But
Mm-hmm.
he is that a person like that in that community. And I don't think we certainly don't have enough. We certainly don't have enough of that.
Mm.
How do we create more meaningful like spaces like that for people?
Yes. Yes.
We have to just do it. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
just have to do it. I mean, I think one of the things that he tells me a lot is he has said this to me in the past. When are you going to step up as this woman leader,
Wow.
right? And I've been like, oh, I try to like, well, I'm humble, all that stuff. And I'm just going to sit back and I go, well, I don't, know. And I used to feel a little frustrated when he would say that, and I'd be like, oh. But over the years, I really was like, he's right. Like, I have to put myself out there in these spaces, and I have to speak up,
That's right.
like I'm
Yeah.
doing right now, which is
Yeah.
not the most comfortable thing for me, but, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that because there are people that are waiting to hear sometimes something that you might have to say.
Yeah.
It can be the smallest thing. And I think for our role models that are male, also the same,
Mm-hmm.
for our role models that are in that are gender inclusive, like we have to
Mm-hmm.
think about um, all the places,
100.
covering all the areas. So
Yeah.
us older folks we have some responsibility there, with our community,
I'm
in
vibing
that.
with you on that and that. Oh, I'm humble and let others have their time. I'm with you because I feel equally as challenged in this moment of one recognizing that I'm of a certain age, right, and I have a certain experience, and even the failures are important to share, right? And so I'm really glad to hear you stepping up because it gives me the courage to step up. 'Cause you know what I mean? It gives and both you and Jaime stepped up in such big ways. Like
Mm,
you are leaders in our community for
thank
sure.
you. Thank you.
When you think about people dealing with sadness and frustration and anger because of the times that we're in, what are some just very practical things that we can do to feel better? And notice that I said that we can do because I put myself right in there. I'm definitely go through these moments where like I'm okay, I'm not. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be around people. I need people. Like
Mm-hmm.
all these things
Yeah.
happen in one day.
Yeah.
So help help us.
Um, I feel like there are so many things, but they have to be right for you, right? They
Mm,
have to be something that feels right for you. So I think one of the first things is to start to just kind of get a sense of what that might be, which
mm.
means we probably have to explore it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes getting outside, um,
Yeah.
getting outside, breathing the fresh air, um, going to a park, being out with, in nature, in the environment, with trees, with animals. I mean, just uh,
Yeah.
we don't always have access to go like to somewhere like the mountains or something, right? Like maybe we can't do that,
Right.
but there are places that we can get outside. Nature feels really important to me.
Yeah.
Having a connection to things that are like larger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think spiritually that like understanding who you are as a spiritual person,
Yeah.
and where you fit in this world, and what kind of what connects you to the good things in your life.
Yes.
Um,
Mm.
Breathing. I mean,
I was just gonna ask how important is breathing?
breathing is like,
Mm. Yeah.
the most basic thing. We take it for granted all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because we're just constantly doing it.
Yeah.
But breathing, just deep breaths. Like, just, I mean, you don't need anything for that. You can just sit down somewhere and just breathe deep, just take it in and then release it.
Mm-hmm.
I think just finding calming space, calming our bodies down. We're so impacted,
Yep.
right, by so many things all the
Totally.
time just coming at us. And,
Mm-hmm.
our cell phones are going off all the time, and there's messages coming through, and,
Yeah.
maybe setting that aside. I think about my daughter a lot. She struggles with anxiety, and she does a lot of distracting for herself to just kind of get herself out of her head and out of her thoughts.
Mm.
And it works.
What does that mean? Distracting? Like, what do you do?
You distract yourself from whatever thought you're having, so you go and just do something completely different. Someone was talking about, it was kind of a funny thing, but my daughter said, "Oh, I've done this." Is a sour candy, which I thought was so funny. But just like having a sour candy, because then you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you just move yourself out of the thought.
Right. Right.
Anxiety is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty stressful for most people.
Yeah.
And I think, just our lifestyle and stuff sometimes can really increase the anxiety.
Right.
So we have to find ways to calm ourselves and to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter does a lot of Disney movies. Maybe, I don't know if it reminds me of her when she's just young or something.
Yeah.
It's just kind of,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about too much.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. I mean,
Can I
yeah.
ask a personal question?
Sure.
And we can cut it out if you're like, no. But what do you do to center yourself in those moments? Do you have a certain practice that is just your go-to?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's all related to our spiritual practices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, a lot of times taking hierbas or copal, which we use,
Mm-hmm.
right, for our
Mm-hmm.
ceremonies, and just burning it.
Yeah.
It the smell of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's meant for cleansing purposes.
Yeah.
Cedar is another one if you don't have access to copal, but
Where can I get
um,
some?
cedar
And
or
copal.
copal. Well, we get copal from Mexico, so
Okay.
yeah. I don't know of where else you can get it. It's from a tree. It's a
Got it.
tree resin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but mostly that's where we've gotten it from is in Mexico. But
Got it. Got it.
cedar, though, we have plenty of cedar around here,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you can burn cedar. And
Okay.
cedar is also cleansing in that way to just kind of take away the feelings or the thoughts, and that's how I imagine it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that the mescal is another thing, or the
Mm-hmm.
sweat lodge is
Mm-hmm.
very, very cleansing and purifying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way that I think in our family, the practices that we have
So
that
good.
just leave us feeling
Yeah.
like we just kind of leave whatever. The idea is to leave whatever is burdening you
Mm-hmm.
there,
Yep.
and you walk away from it. You leave
Yes.
it there. My husband always says um, to make an offering or an ofrenda to the thing that's bothering you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I
Wow.
wish he was here to describe that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm.
make an ofrenda for that, because it's like asking it to leave you. Like
Yeah.
that anxiety,
Boom.
put down some cedar or something, some kind of offering of something, from flowers.
Mm-hmm.
I think another way is, and lots of people do this, have altares in their home, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
to have an altar
Mm-hmm.
can be also a very calming space for
Mm-hmm.
people, and can have all the things that you love or that you honor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So finding a little space.
Yep.
When my daughter moved away to college, she took all her little things to make her little space for
That's
for
awesome.
the difficult times when she,
Yeah.
that she had, and she did have them.
Yeah.
So things like that, I think, can be very helpful and calming.
Mm.
And they're traditional things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've given me so much. One, so much affirmation. and also some food for thought. But I also feel challenged when friends of mine or people that I work with are showing that they need help, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not asking for help, so you don't want to intrude.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about that? Like, how do you be nosy without being nosy? Like, because I think there's a part of me that would greatly appreciate if someone said, Adrian, sit next to me for a second and can we talk? And there's another part of me that I might be shocked, like I wouldn't know what to do with it in the moment.
Right, right.
But I feel like we need it, but we're not talking about it.
Yeah. Um, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges is that we feel nervous about talking about it.
Yeah.
Like you're asking me right now,
Mm-hmm.
what do I do if a friend, because you're not sure and
Right.
we don't want to impose or we don't want to we don't want to invade people's privacy or anything. But if we are not talking, we don't know what's going on.
Mm.
And when you say like when you're talking about people that are struggling and young men who are struggling, um, it's partly because we're not talking that that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conversations, we have to start having those conversations.
Mm.
Um, we have to start having those conversations when we have young children,
Yep.
talking about things so that it just becomes this normal thing that we do.
Yeah.
Um, I I do reach out to people, and sometimes it's just a simple little, hey, just checking in on you,
Yeah.
making sure you're doing okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it might get a, oh yeah, I'm fine, response. Or sometimes it opens a door.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's part of, what I feel really grateful to be able to do is
Mm-hmm.
to just open a door sometimes.
That.
You may not be the person that they tell, but
Right.
maybe they don't talk about all of it, or maybe they just say a little bit of something
Yeah.
that gives you an indication that something might something else might be happening, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I mean, I know that I appreciate when people reach out and say, "Are you doing all right?
Mm-hmm.
How's everything going?"
Yep.
You know.
Yep. So good. Thank you so much. You have been such a gift to the community that we've created inside of Creciente, but not just there. Yeah, I mean, you all are, like I said, you and your husband are leaders of leaders in our community, and we look up to you. And I enjoy any time that we're able to share a space because I feel like I'm being edified in so many different ways.
Oh, thank you.
Um, when you think about your life and where you're at right now, what two, three things that you find yourself just being so grateful for right now?
Mm. Um, well, I'm certainly grateful uh, for my life in general and my family.
Mm.
I have 3 daughters and 5 grandkids, and so
Nice.
I feel grateful that we've gone, we've made it where we are. I feel like we're all in a pretty good place,
Very cool.
but we weren't always.
Mm.
So there's been some struggle along the way, but no regrets, just like we are here.
Yep.
So I feel very grateful for that. I feel really grateful for opportunities,
Mm.
doors that have just opened, sometimes just very randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And
That.
yeah, like just,
Mm-hmm.
being able to have an opportunity to do something that I've never tried, doing a podcast, which, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
And feeling a little nervous about it, but being able to just walk through that,
Mm-hmm.
taking advantage of that open door,
Yeah.
that was really important. So I'm very grateful for that, and certainly grateful for the danza and ceremony community
Mm.
that my husband and I, our family that we have,
Yes.
our extended family,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
that there's so much strength in that,
Yeah.
and we have lots of good times.
Mm-hmm. I was just with a group of people on Friday, and two people were mentioning they're a part of that community,
Oh,
and
really?
oh yeah, they love it, and they love talking about it, and they love talking. One of them was talking about figuring out how to bring their children more to it, and I just
Mm-hmm.
thought it was so cool.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there's grandparents and
Mm,
grandkids and our children who are part of it, and cousins, and I mean, it's a very big community,
mhm.
and it's interesting because there's so much happening with that right now.
Right.
More people are joining that, and I think that feels really, really good too, because we know that they're going to get something from that. They're going to feel that sense of community.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
How can you not, right? Like,
Right,
it's pretty
right.
amazing what you
Yeah.
all have created. Christina, thank you so much for joining the Inner Tribe podcast. I learned a lot, and it's just really cool to be in your company.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot.
Right on. And thank you to you for continuing to listen and to support the Inner Tribe podcast. We'll see you soon. I also want to thank the Ring Studios for providing this awesome space for us. It really is a joy to be right here on this spot and to have wonderful conversations with incredible change makers. We'll see you soon. Peace out.